I think the thing that's we all need to recognize is that over 30 years there have been so many people who have put in thousands of hours of time and volunteer time to make this auction the preeminent event in our region. When you raise over $500,000, whether it's part general fund and part special projects, it's all benefiting the kids, and it could not be possible without tons of volunteers putting in their hours, without the attendees, without the donors. Some of the packages and participants have been in place for decades that are a part of that auction. So that tradition goes all the way back to the fairgrounds, where it was which I don't think is included in the 30 years, where they actually had a large modified rummage sale, donated items, were my understanding. I wasn't around at that time, but my understanding was the genesis and origins of the auction. And to see what it's become today is the testament to the commitment to Catholic education and the unbelievable number of volunteers, many of whom aren't even with us anymore, who brought this to the 30 years of success that it's recognized. I think the thing about the auction that is one of the most important things is that it changes. It changes every single year. Technology changes, and people change, and processes change, and I think everybody wants to hold on to the important parts and don't want those to change, and that is the sense of community, the sense of history of 30 years of a successful event. But those 30 years have only been successful because it's changed, because it's adapted. It has adapted to the growth that's necessary. We just can't lose that sense of community. We can't lose that group of people working together for the common good of the kids of our schools, which is why it started to begin with.
And Brenda and Kevin invited us to join and start helping with things, and that's how we got involved. And as Brian said, we really developed a lot of friendships over the years. I would describe being in the committees and the chairs, a lot of teamwork, a lot of commitment, and community. And I think you really feel, by the end you're proud of what you've all come together and accomplished. And it's a big event to do every year, and volunteers really make it happen from year to year. So I thought it was a very rewarding experience.
Yeah, and I feel that the Shanley auction, being a part of it, has really opened up our eyes to both the needs of the school and also the volunteer base that is always willing to be there to try to put in the effort to raise the funds needed for these needs. And we've seen a wide variety of needs over the years presented each year at the auction, and every year it seems that the people that are attending the auction and the people that are volunteering, putting it on, everything comes together, and we seem to hit our goals.
It is overwhelming to think of putting on the event, and when you get started on the solicitations and the organizing early on, it's overwhelming, and you wonder how this is ever going to come off. And as Marilyn said a minute ago, at the end of it, you see what happens, and you see all the teamwork. A lot of us are sports fans. We love to go watch Shanley Deacons in sports, and it takes a lot of teamwork to pull off the auction too. At the end of it all, you look around, you go, wow, great volunteer group, what a great volunteer group. So it is important for people to not only volunteer to work on the Shanley auction, but to come back year after year and do it, and also recruit friends to get involved in it. That's key. It takes new volunteers every year, new blood every year to keep it going, and that's why it's been successful for so many years. The Shanley auction, I think, is unique in that it has such a long lifespan and so much success with it. A lot of auctions don't last this long. I think a key component to that is new volunteers every year.
I think probably sometime during our tenure as co-chairs, the special projects came to be, whereas the prior years they would raise the funds and kind of tried to distribute it based on a formula or what, where the funds were going. And we sat around the table with Todd Mickelson and started to generate the idea of having the special projects. And that really came to fruition, and it has really taken off. It's become an integral part of the auction evening.
We pulled out, we had like the Deacon Select and the main auction. We had that in the same room, and we pulled that out and put it into a separate room, and it made a lot more room, and it made it available for people to walk around and probably make bids easier just because there was more room, and I think it worked out better to pull that out.
The other thing I think that we worked on as a group as well too was fostering volunteers, other people to join, and doing that thing where you have a group has been established and working on it. They train the next group of people, and then you bring another third group in, so that there was better transition of volunteers. And I think the four of us together really worked hard too on developing a good volunteer base, and I felt good that when we moved on that there was a strong unit of volunteers in place to continue on.
I also served on the school council to see the needs from the council side, and then see the auction side bring some of those to reality, starting in the classrooms at the elementary school with the smart boards and the different things like that. That to me has really been gratifying to see come to fruition.
We were just really happy to send our kids to Catholic school. I think they learned a lot about faith, they learned a lot about education, they learned a lot there, and we were just happy that we sent them there, and the Shanley auction was a great part to be involved in that, and enjoyed being part of all that for many, many years. So
We were proud to be part of the Shanley auction, made so many friends, and I think we understood and comprehended the importance of it. It's a night of community and it's a night of fundraising, and both are very important to the future of JP2's Catholic School Network.
And one of the highlights every year is Father Charles' 21-minute Mass. I think a lot of priests
Or
could
any
learn
of
from
the
his
priests,
lead there that he gives a great message in a few amount of words that evening. So that's fun.
Right, the Shanley auction is of course a fundraiser, but it's also a fun raiser and a family raiser. It's a community event. It's something that we look forward to every year. Yes, you're raising money for a great cause, and yes, we're having a lot of fun, but also we're building family, we're building community, because all of us here at the auction, anyone who is involved with the auction, wants to create great citizens for this world, but also great citizens for the next world. Our job is to impart our faith to our students so that they can fulfill the mission that they have from God here on earth, but also to one day spend eternity with Him in heaven. The Shanley auction is special because we started off with the greatest way possible, and that is to offer the holy sacrifice of the Mass. So all of our efforts here at the auction, even our efforts before and after the auction, we put those all on the altar. We offer them all of our sacrifices, all of the efforts and energy that we expend doing this auction. We offer that as a prayer to the Father, through the Son, in union with the Holy Spirit. He has done great things with that prayer in the past. He's doing it today, and we expect Him to continue to do great things with that prayer in the future. Well, this is the first auction that I'm not able to be there because I'm now off doing a search retreat weekend, which includes some of our network students. And so, but what I just want to say to the people at the auction and all those who are there and all those who have made this possible, first of all, obviously, thank you for what you have done, and just know that God will reward you in His own way, in His own time, for your efforts here in this auction. And you have done a tremendous service, not only to the families involved, but in particular and especially to the young people who will now be able to receive the faith and to fulfill their vocation, their mission from God.
Just seeing how the whole event was put together, and being a part of something so huge. I know my very first year as auction director, when I walked into that Holiday Inn on Saturday morning at 7:30 or 7 o'clock a.m. And just thinking, okay, we have to get all of these items on display by noon. You know, how are we going to tackle that? And I walked in, and it was like the floor was moving. There were people everywhere getting items on display, getting everything set up. We were done. We were done certainly by noon, and it was just amazing to me. If we were to look back 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, and if somebody would have told us that in 2013 we'd have a $500,000 auction, I think we would have laughed, because I don't think anybody really envisioned it getting that large. I don't know, it's just something that everyone should get involved in, because you get to know more of the people within the network, not just parents from your child's school or from your child's class. You're getting to know parents who have kids in the middle school and parents who have kids in the high school. So
I would say that the thing that no one tells you about working on the auction is how much fun it is. You will make new friends. You will learn so much more about the school and the people that are involved in the school and their commitment to Catholic education. So what I have to emphasize more than anything is how much fun you would have if you're involved in the auction.
I think for me, one of the most enlightening things about being asked to be a chair along with a friendship that will last for years to come is really seeing how many people get involved in such a great event, and seeing how many volunteers, how many parents, the staff, the parents, the teachers, everybody coming together to make it Fargo-Moorhead's premium charity event. It was overwhelming to see the response that we had by so many volunteers. Well, for me, the great cause is our kids. There's no greater gift than any of us have than our kids. So tonight's event and the past and future auctions go to benefit the greatest gifts we have, and that's our children.
And the fact that it's a fun event to attend and that it's involves the fellowship of all the parents is just frosting on the cake. I think the fact that people are so willing to give up their time, so many different people are involved in the auction, and they each bring their own unique flavor to it, that every year it's a little bit different, and so you never quite know what it's going to be, but you know it's always going to be a good time for a good cause.
I guess to piggyback off the words of Mr. Mike Hagstrom, we are deacons and we excel. For the past 30 years and for the future 30 plus years, we are here to serve. We're here to serve our kids, we're here to serve our Catholic community, and we're here to serve each other. The success of the past and future Shanley auctions is all right here in this room.